Okay, hi everyone. Sorry about the slight delay, some tech issues. My name's Elena Kalsef. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager for BMJ Group in the Asia Pacific region, and I'm based in Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for joining our session today. I know it's that time of the afternoon where we're all feeling like a coffee, so I appreciate you being here. I hope the first day of the conference has gone well for you all. Okay, so over the next 20 minutes, I wanted to give you a quick introduction as to how BMJ supports early career researchers in Asia and helps them to drive the impact of their health and medical research. So I'm going to start off just by talking you through some of the author development and education tools that we have available. Most of these are free. I'm also going to be talking about a subscription-based product that we offer to institutions. And then I'm going to move on to talk about some of the publishing pathways for your early career researchers. So if they want to get published with BMJ Group, what are their options? And also, what are some of the options for institutions to help them get published and really drive that reach and visibility of their research? So I'm here in the exhibition hall today with my colleagues. We're at stand 61. So if you'd like any information about what I discussed today, or if you have any questions, please feel free to come and visit us. All right, so before I get started, I just wanted to get a sense of who's familiar with BMJ Group. Can I just get a bit of a show of hands if you know BMJ Group? A few? Okay. So you may be most familiar with our flagship journal, the BMJ, or the British Medical Journal. So this has been published since 1840. It consistently ranks in one of the world's top 5 general medical titles that is published. But as well as the BMJ, we have quite a large portfolio of 70 other journals that we publish. And the great thing about the research that we publish is that it ranks quite highly in terms of its real-world impact. So that's the second point there. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. So as well as our journal portfolio, we also produce some other products. So we have a clinical decision support tool called BMJ Best Practice, which is widely used here in Asia Pacific by both academic institutions and also healthcare institutions. We have online learning tools, so BMJ Learning is an example. And we also run events all over the world as well. But across our entire portfolio, our vision remains the same. So we're a global healthcare knowledge provider with a vision for a healthier world. And this really drives everything that we do at BMJ Group. And I've just included a QR code here. So this links to the latest edition of our annual impact report. And it's got some great examples of how we partner with institutions around the world to deliver on that vision for a healthier world. Okay. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this next slide because we all know that there are common challenges facing early career researchers in Asia, but also in other parts of the world. So, that pressure to get published, to build a publication record. Perhaps there's a lack of familiarity or training with international publishing practices. If English is not a first language, there can be the barriers that come with that, and also, gaps in writing. And then there's often limited guidance in terms of choosing credible journals and knowing how to avoid predatory publishers. So what are some of the things that BMJ Group is doing to try and overcome some of these barriers? I'm going to start off just by talking about some of the author education and development tools that we have to help researchers produce good research and then go on to get published in a high quality journal. So the first tool that we have here, you can see, is the BMJ Author Hub. So this is a completely free resource. It's linked via the QR code here, and it's full of information to help early career researchers get published. So it covers the entire sort of research cycle and publishing journey. There's a specific section for early career researchers as well. It's all curated by senior members of BMJ's editorial team, and there's webinars, there's videos, how-to guides, all of BMJ's policies. So many of our partner institutions link off to this from their library website. Although it's produced by BMJ, all of the information in there really is relevant to any researcher, regardless of where they'd like to get published. So just a nice resource to be aware of. And then within that Author Hub, we also have published a series of author FAQ videos. So again, these are interviews with members of BMJ's editorial team. answering questions that we get asked time and time again from authors. So things like, how do I know I'm publishing in an ethical journal? What if English isn't my first language? Is that going to affect my chances of success with my publication? What if I've submitted my article to a pre-print server? Will you still accept it? And so on. So there's some great videos, again, to look at and share with your early career researchers. One of the questions we get asked again very frequently is, what's BMJ's AI policy? Okay, so authors want to know if they can use it when they're conducting their research, but also when they're writing up their papers. So again, we've created a video here where you can hear from BMJ's Content Integrity Manager, and she talks through our policy. In a nutshell, we do accept the use of AI in both research and in papers. Obviously, there's a lot more detail behind that, but as long as authors disclose the use of AI, we do accept that. We have a policy of transparency, really. So you can access all the details again via that QR code. Okay, so moving on to just one of our subscription-based tools that's available to institutions. And this product is called Research to Publication. And it was really inspired by this piece of research that was published in The Lancet more than 10 years ago now, that found that 85% of health research is wasted. There's many similar studies as well. Billions and billions of dollars worth of health research wasted. And the reason for this is either because, perhaps the research asks the wrong question, it's badly designed, it's the wrong methodology, perhaps it's written up poorly, or it's just not published at all. But what this study sort of highlighted was that many of these problems are easily fixable if researchers have the right skills right from the very beginning of their career. So this study caught the attention of Dr. Trish Groves, who works at the BMJ. She was the head of research for the BMJ. And she also went on to become the editor-in-chief of BMJ Open, one of our titles. And she thought, we need to do something about this. What can BMJ do as one of the world's top medical publishers to help researchers, create their strong research and then go on to sort of complete that cycle, get it published and share it with the world? So we designed this program in collaboration with the University of California, San Francisco, one of the world's top research producing institutions. And we've combined the expertise of the two organizations. So it teaches researchers the entire sort of research methodology and then publication process as well. And it's an online program, so made up of, until very recently, 8 courses, now 9. We've just launched a new course on how to write a case report, but you can see here that it goes right through from, creating developing a good research question, right through to picking the right journal to publish it in, getting published, and avoiding scientific misconduct as well. So in total, there are 54 modules that are available online, more than 200 hours of learning. And each module sets out the learning outcomes. There's then various types of content that the learner will need to go through. So there are videos, there's more text-based modules, there's homework and assignments that users have to complete. And then they do an assessment at the end of each module, and they're required to get an 80% pass mark. They then get a certificate that they can add to their portfolio as well. So lots of great educational value there. And we find that many institutions will subscribe to this and they'll integrate it perhaps into their own research programs that they're running in-house. What they can also do, if they prefer, rather than subscribing to the whole program, is pick and choose modules where they've identified those skill gaps with their early career researchers. So I just wanted to share this little case study with you. So this is UNAM, a university in Mexico, one of Mexico's top universities, and most prestigious universities. They actually produce more than 30% of Mexico's research. And they've been subscribing to Research to Publication for a number of years. They've embedded it into their own institutional program because they identified that there was some sort of skill shortages with their early career researchers. And now, after a number of years, they've seen some really impressive results. You can see on the screen here, 72% of participants had completed a research project within 12 months of completing research to publication. 35% had then gone on and got published in at least one article within 12 months. And I really like this last point here. So 20% of novice researchers were first-time authors within 2 years. Okay. There's a few quotes here just from users of the program. And again, I like that top one there. So I'm publishing better papers, better study designs, larger sample sizes, publishing in better journals and higher impact factors. Now I'm doing more solid big studies. Okay. So if you want to find out more about research to publication, please come and chat to myself or one of my colleagues at the stand later on. Okay, just one last free tool that you might like to share with your early career researchers as well. So this is a new online course that we launched late last year with the National Institute for Health and Care Research in the UK. It's hosted on our platform BMJ Learning, so an online course, and it really teaches researchers, early career researchers, the value of including underrepresented communities in their research. Okay, so lots of practical strategies there to encourage diversity and inclusion, and it shows sort of, how that actually impacts on research quality as well. So if you're interested, there's a QR code that you can use to access the full course, and you're welcome to share that with your researchers as well. Okay, so those are some of the tools. And I wanted to move on a little bit to the publishing pathways. So once your early career researchers are ready to publish, what are their options with BMJ Group? What are some options for institutions as well to help maximise that, reach and visibility of your institution's research output? So just to recap, I mentioned earlier, we have more than 70 titles in our journal portfolio. And what you can see here is many of them are sort of rank very well in their fields. So 20% of our titles feature in the top 10 of their category, and 80% feature in the top 50% of the category as well. So your researchers can be confident that wherever they publish with BMJ, they're going to benefit from that impact and that reach. So of the 70 plus titles that we publish, we now have 35 fully gold open access titles, and we're launching more and more every year. I think last year was a record for the number of new titles that we launched. And they don't just cover the medical specialties, we also have nursing titles, we have pharmacy, public health, non-clinical specialties as well. So there's a lot of choice for your authors. And then again, another QR code there with a list to all of our titles. I just very briefly wanted to mention BMJ Case Reports as well, which is one of the titles that we publish, and it's a very popular resource. So it's actually the world's largest online repository of clinical cases. We've published more than 30,000 case reports from all over the world now, from more than 120 countries. Very popular here in Asia Pacific, particularly in Japan, Philippines as well, and Australia. But the wonderful thing about BMJ Case Reports is that it provides a very supportive introduction to medical publishing, even at the undergraduate level. So many medical students these days will have to write up a case report as part of their studies, and this gives them a really nice platform to publish it. It's a very supportive submission and publication process, so there's tools and templates that authors can use to help them get published. And another nice thing about this resource is that many of the cases that are published go on to have really high levels of sort of real world impact as well. So this particular case here that you can see was published last year. A doctor in Australia, and he identified scurvy was a re-emerging disease in his hospital in Perth, and he saw a link between that. He saw an increased level of scurvy in bariatric surgical patients. So this case got a huge amount of attention in the media, lots of citations in other literature, but also in the real world. So it actually went on to influence how doctors treat patients. They're now doing nutritional screening of patients who've just had bariatric surgery. They're being referred through to dietitians as well afterwards. So very nice example there of just the real world impact from one case. All right, so just very quickly, I wanted to mention some of the open access options at BMJ Group. So if as an institution you are looking to kind of ease that publication pathway for your early career researchers, perhaps lighten some of that financial burden, there are various options available at BMJ. So we have read and publish agreements. We also have prepay accounts and memberships as well, where you can get an APC discount for your authors. If you're interested in finding out about any more of these options, please come and have a chat to us. In terms of our read and publish presence, we now have agreements in 15 countries around the world, either national agreements or institutional level agreements. Here in the Asia Pacific region, those are concentrated in Australia. So we've seen very good growth over the last few years, the number of agreements there. And we've also seen an increase of about 200% across the board in terms of the research output from those agreements. Okay, so just to finish up, another option for your early career researchers is our topic collections. So we put out call for papers on particular topics, and we then group those. They feature on a landing page on the BMJ Journal's website. So a great opportunity to sort of amplify the visibility of research. BMJ also does additional promotions for these collections of topics. So you can view all of the call for papers and a little bit more about that via this QR code. We have another video talking a little bit more about that opportunity. Okay. And second last slide here, a few other things to mention, some other helpful tools that we have. You may have heard of medRxiv. This is the world's largest biomedical preprint server. We launched it with Yale and Cold Spring Harbor in 2019. This is a great sort of opportunity for early career researchers to get feedback on their research papers. It encourages collaboration, forming connections with others around the world. And the wonderful thing is you can follow the full life cycle of research papers that are published in medRxiv. So if it does go on to get peer reviewed and then be published in a medical journal, you can follow that all the way through the preprint server. BMJ author services as well. So we have English editing and translation services available just to ease, again, that publishing pathway. And we also have an article transfer service. So this has been very, very successful. And basically what this means is if an author submits to a BMJ journal, but it's not accepted for that particular title, we'll do our best to find another home within our portfolio for your research. And the author doesn't need to resubmit any of the files or go through that submission process. It all happens automatically in the background. So again, just speeds up publication for your authors. And then finally, where is my paper? So this is a tool we launched a couple of years ago now. We often get questions from authors, I've submitted, where's my paper? It's like it's gone into a black hole. I haven't heard anything. So this is a tool where authors can simply enter their manuscript ID or their ORCID ID, and we'll tell them instantly exactly, at what stage of the publication process their paper is. So yes, please spread the word about those with your early career researchers. Again, please come and let me know if you have any questions about those. All right, and last slide now. So I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that BMJ Group ranks quite highly in terms of the real world impact of the research that we publish. And what do I mean by that? Well, we have a tool called BMJ Impact Analytics that we launched a couple of years ago. So it's a research impact analytics tool that we launched with Overton. And it focuses on health and medical research and looking at where that research is cited in the real world. So in health policy, in clinical guidelines that healthcare professionals on the ground are using when they're treating patients, also in clinical decision support tools like BMJ Best Practice. So it looks at where it's been cited there. And looking at BMJ Impact Analytics, we found that BMJ Group ranks quite highly in terms of our real world impact. So even though we are a small publisher, only 70 titles, we do rank 8th globally in terms of how we are able to influence clinical guidelines and policy documents through the research that we publish. Okay, so if you're interested in finding out more again about impact analytics, or perhaps getting a bit of a snapshot of where your institution's research is being cited in the real world, again, please come and have a chat and be happy to give you a demo and show you that. Okay, so I think that pretty much brings me to the end of the session today. Thank you so much for coming along again. I've included my contact details here, but come and see my colleagues, David and Pat, are at the stand as well. Be happy to chat to you. Thank you very much.